What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? This is your man Cam. This is another episode of the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is week 100 and excuse me, not 100. Cleveland. This is week 204. What am I talking about? 204 Voice of the Fans podcast, October 24th, 2022. Man, we got football season right around the corner. Believe it or not, Cleveland. We got live, true action football that matters right around the corner. Let me say that. Make sure the fans understand. It's football that counts. That's coming up in a couple weeks. But until then, we're gonna give you a couple episodes, man, of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We're gonna do what we do each and every week. We're gonna check out our numbers, get into our numbers game. We're gonna review some NFL topics, some NBA topics. We got a little major league that we're gonna get into. We even got some UFC. If you saw the UFC event over the weekend, we got some comments. We're gonna talk about that. Um, I still think Theo Epstein. I don't know how happy he can be there, but if the Mariners aren't serious about making the Mariners are serious about making the playoffs, they'll give Theo a call. If they're not so serious about him, they won't call him. Cleveland, has the Mariners called Theo Epstein yet?
Not yet, Cam. No.
Oh, okay. Well, we see what we we see. Until that happens, I'm gonna start a petition. They need to go to Portland. We're gonna get to them later, but until I hear Theo Epstein's in the house, I can't take them seriously. And again, Portland, I think there's a couple spots in Portland. People in Portland want to see them down there. Shout out to Portland, Oregon. People want to see some baseball, live baseball in Portland. And I think the Mariners is just a team to bring them some live baseball. What do you think about that, Cleveland?
Yeah, not so much, Cam. Yeah, I'm not willing to commit to that right now. I'm still on the bandwagon. I'm still going through this process of being in the playoffs and seeing where this ends up. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Being a 206, kind of extrovert. That's fine.
I mean, how long this process? What year in the process is this week? Is this week 1, 2, or 3 in the process? Is this the first month of the process? Where are you guys in the process? How many? What's the
Well, we're
last
in the
time?
fifth or sixth year of the process. We're like two superstars away from being a
Oh
perennial
boy.
like World
Oh
Series
boy.
champion.
Two super two super. He didn't say two ball players away. He said two superstars away. So yeah, I'm two superstars away from being Ricky Martin too.
I
Um,
know. Kawhi and Paul George, right?
oh wow. We gonna.
Two
I don't think
superstars away, right?
no. We gonna
They they, they
they
just
those are.
they just gotta like not have the walking
By the way,
boot
you
on.
know, you brought it up. We're gonna get into what is a superstar. We're gonna get into who is a superstar,
Okay,
what is
well,
a
yeah,
superstar.
I
We're gonna
can I
talk
can give
about it.
you I can give you the definition of that. Sure,
We're gonna
we
talk
can get to
about it
that.
because one of those guys are bona fide superstars, and the other one might maybe not so much. But we're gonna get into that. But
Okay.
before we do, like I say, it's August 24th, 2022, week 204 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Look at that symmetry with those numbers. 204 is just fitting together. Uh, when you think of the number 24, Cleveland, who wore that number best? Or who comes to your mind first? You think of the number 24.
Well, Cam, when you're talking about the number symmetry, I mean, you see the 8, the 2, 4. I mean, that's an answer in and of itself. It's Kobe being Bryant. It's the first person that comes to mind. Uh, you know, Birthday, whatnot. Civil case getting settled. You know, yeah, it's Kobe. 824.
Okay. Okay. Is that a shot, a diss to the original number 24 up in Seattle, Mr. King Griffey Jr.?
No diss to King Griffey Jr. whatsoever. No diss to Dennis
Oh,
Johnson. No diss to any of the other great 24s that have, donned the number on the back of their jersey over the annals of time. It's just that Kobe Bean Bryant was a 5-time NBA champion and quite possibly one of the top 10 greatest players ever.
quite possibly one of the top 10 greatest player ever. See, you're going to start an argument right there. You trying to start an argument with that comment right there. You said quite possibly top 10, and you're supposed to be a Laker fan?
I
Oh,
am.
you're a bandwagon Laker fan. That's right. Okay. Top 10. But I mean, at least you're not delusional with that statement and put him up there as in like the number 2 or 3 best player ever, like most Laker fans would do. But all right, I give you some credit for that. When you think of the number 4, Cleveland, who wore that number best, or Who first comes to your mind when you think of the number 4?
Cam, I was thinking of who comes to mind first, and it was a Washington Husky running back named Corey Dillon. I'm not sure if you ever heard of him, but
Oh my
he
goodness!
was quite a beast for the season that he was at Montlake, and it went quite well
Oh
for
my
us,
goodness!
for him. Who are the best over
Oh my
time?
goodness
It's
gracious,
probably
man! Is that the
Brett
first time?
Favre.
That's the first time. This is the first time fans. I don't want to say the history of the show. That's going too far. That's been in 10 years now. That's been in a decade. But I know it's the first time this year that he's shot out to a Washington Husky. I know this is the
It is
first time
not,
this year.
fans.
It's the first time this
Go back
season,
through
this
the
year. Yeah, it is the first time this year that he's shot out a Washington Husky. And Corey Dillon, I don't know who it is. He set the Husky rookie rushing record, right? Didn't he set
Oh,
it?
there it goes. It's
Didn't
all
he,
coming back to you.
didn't,
Sometimes you're
didn't,
206.
he said, "Do I know who it is?"
Senses, kind of kick in. That's kind of cute. Every once in a while, you try and act like you know where you're from.
That's a
Out
funny
there in
one,
La
man.
La Land, I know it's a far cry from the rainy Seattle, Washington, but
The
sometimes
rainy Seattle Rossi, yeah, that's right. Well, okay, talk about somebody else who spent some time up in the Seattle, Washington area, man. And a guy, friend to the show, man. I'm gonna have to work on getting this guy on the show. Mr. Shakrin Griffin, I know I spent some time, got a chance to interview him once or twice, but he decides to retire, man. And he's planning to devote his time to help and help and share his energy and passion and perseverance with those other athletes who are disabled athletes, man. I think that which is such a generous cause, man. What do you think about Shaquem, his career, and what did he leave a legacy there in Seattle? And what are Hawks and number 12 thinking about Shaquem Griffin?
He absolutely left a legacy here, Cam. I mean, obviously, coming from a disadvantaged situation physically, he gave the team everything that he had. Every minute that he was here, he had some opportunities to make some plays. He had some opportunities to do some other things. Showed all of his strengths, all of his weaknesses, and at the end of the day, I mean, he got the most out of Shane Griffin that you could possibly imagine.
Um, I think there's more to get. I think there's more to come. There's more to come. Probably just touching people's heart and giving them this inspiration. I think some of the things that what he was able to do, obviously, uh, to get to college on a scholarship, and get drafted in NFL and make an NFL team. Did he
Conference
play?
Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, yeah,
Did
it's
he? Did he
absurd.
play? Did he play long enough to get a pension from the NFL? I think what you have to play 5 years to get a pension. Did he play long enough?
I'm going to say no if you have to play that long to get a pension. Possibly, but unlikely.
But nonetheless, I think his story, man, is remarkable. We're certainly going to see a movie about him, I mean, without a doubt. There's a lot to go in his lifetime, so we don't know where he's going to finish. But he was drafted in 2018, so we're 2022. Oh, come on, bro. I think 5 years is the mark. I'm almost positive 5 years is the mark.
Kim was just a wee bit short, sounds like.
Um, Man, I mean, I was trying to get on the team, bro. Um, Even though the NFL I was having this discussion with somebody else, having this discussion with Rob Parker a few weeks ago. Even though the NFL collective players organization is the weakest, and Shoddy is they're terrible, and they're absolutely terrible. The players, even if you do get the pension lasts 5 years after you retire. So if he was to get the pension, as an example, I'm pretty sure it's 5 years. But if he makes the 5 years, and then 5 years after you retire, so hypothetically, he plays probably, what is he now? He plays. He gets. He's at 27 now, so he plays till he's 28. 5 years after retire, he's 33. Like, what? Unless you have some serious issues, and oh, your pension only lasts for 5 years. So you have that between that 35 and to 40 years old. What issues? I mean, you've been that age. Did you go through? Unless you go through something, abnormal, that's traumatic. Most males are fairly healthy at that age, right? Um,
Well,
and then
football players, for playing the game of football is abnormal and traumatic to your body. So we can't make those type of comparisons as to someone that works in a cubicle and kind of what they're going
fair,
through
fair,
adverse
fair, fair,
one that
fair enough. Fair
has been
enough. Fair enough.
playing free safety for 10 years. So that's not an apples to apples comparison. I was not under the impression that you only get the pension for 5 years.
Yeah.
I recall when the OJ trial was going on, that was one of the big things. Like, you couldn't touch his pension, but it certainly wasn't one of those things where it was like, okay, well, for 5 years. I mean, OJ had been retired for quite some time before that. So I'm not versed
Well,
enough to really speak upon that. But if you're talking about someone like can only have a pension for 5 years at a very short period of time, given the fact that the average lifespan of a NFL football player is less than 5 years. I mean, yeah, you know, given that mindset, of course, yeah, from 27 to 33, you're not going to have a whole lot of stuff wrong with you. So what can you gain from that? On the flip side of that, it depends on what you've been through physically, and there are a lot of
certainly.
players that once they leave the league and don't have that umbrella to kind of shelter them from some of the things that are going on with them, and kind of the procedures or medications that they need, they get out of that and it's a whole other story. So
Yeah, but again, those things are identified, are often either immediately identified, the issues that they're going with, or they're the delayed reaction, because again, most men feel they're invincible at a young age. So um, I was surprised to hear kind of the details of that when I was having that conversation. But yeah, that's certainly what it is. And OJ being a different case, because OJ was obviously. NFL, played in the NFL, and then had a TV career as well. So, which pension were we referring to specifically? I don't know, but he did. He had other things going on, and I'm sure his contracts were um, combed over with the comb that would protect him from almost anything. Which, into his case, like Allen Iverson, it turned out to benefit him years down the line, right? That just from the circle that you end up finding yourself in. So that was it. Nonetheless, we spun off into a different conversation, but I think Shaquille Griffin, I credit him for his career, and I think, like I said, no doubt there'll be a TV show about his career, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do with the afterlife. Kudos to him for managing to get this far. Cleveland, big story in pre. Well, I wouldn't say big story. I think it's just kind of an untalked about story. Is Lamar Jackson. Is he doing himself a disservice by not negotiating his contract now, not trying to lock in a deal, or going into the season with no uh, deal after the season? Is he doing himself a disservice? Do you think, or um, can he be doing himself a disservice by not having legitimate representation? Having his mom work with him, not having an agent who understands the NFL, who has relationships within the NFL that can help buffer some of these issues that the no doubt is going to come along when the team is now trying to communicate with them, even regardless of the relationships. The teams don't always just give out their best deal. Um, First, you have to kind of earn that in most situations. Do you think he's doing himself a disservice in this process?
Well, I mean, all of those things aforementioned, Cam, come into play when you don't have a deal. I mean, I guess the question is, representing himself, does he have the best representation? And the answer to that question is that's hard to say. With regards to
What kind
kind
of
of the
answer?
time.
What kind of answer to the question is that?
Well, I mean, obviously
You can't
you would
even
love
answer
to
your own
have.
question.
So if you have one of the premier agents in the NFL representing you, do you get a better deal than if you represented yourself? And that has not been the case to this point. We have no idea. We don't really have enough of a frame of reference because enough people don't. I see you shaking your head. Enough people don't represent themselves in this position for there to be even any kind of comparison. So there's never been a top 5 quarterback. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. There's never been a top 5 quarterback to represent themselves that wasn't represented by Lee Steinberg or some other super agent. So you can't say that the super agent would get them a better deal than they get themselves.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're the top 5 players in
Well,
the
for
NFL haven't been
starters,
representing themselves? Why do you think that
NFL
is?
quarterbacks previously have always thought that they were better represented by someone else that could kind of state their case to the organization. Lamar Jackson doesn't feel that way. And when you look at the numbers and what he's already turned down, I mean, what else would a super agent be bringing you? What else would Russell Wilson's agent or Tom Brady's agent or Aaron Rodgers' agent be bringing you? He's already said no to the fact that you want to pay me a little bit less than Deshaun Watson, and I'm not having it.
Cleveland. You telling me you don't believe that their agents have relationships that the players and the player can't
The
possibly
agents
have with
certainly do, and
the player
it's
can't possibly
always
have with the owner?
awkward when the player has to negotiate with the owner and the general manager face to face and hear all the reasons and the things as to why they're not going to give that player the money that player is asking for. So, it's obviously somewhat unprecedented with regards to how Lamar Jackson is handling it, but to say that he's handling it poorly or wrong, I mean, I don't think so necessarily.
So what I don't know, and what I don't know, and what I'm speaking about is whether Lamar can go in there and get his $100 per day contract, or an agent can go in there and get him a $350 per day contract. There's going to be a difference there. Number one, first and foremost, if Lamar understands that is $300 per day is a market that he's playing with, and he's in there, and he says, okay, I'll take $400 per day. If that's his understanding of the market, he can go in there and ask for $400 a day. Obviously, Lamar Jackson could, in with his situation in Baltimore, could command that $400 a day. Understood, correct? We understand that, correct? But does Lamar Jackson now get the 5th year option on that contract? Does Lamar Jackson now negotiate the no trade clause? Now is Lamar Jackson able to negotiate the fluctuation in salary? The what is it? The gravity excuse me, the growth in salary to match the market, or is it going to be uh, 20 $400 a day straight across the board for the next 5 years? Or is he going to do some marginal growth, the economical growth structure? Is Lamar Jackson familiar with that growth structure to sign a contract that way? Or does he have to have a lawyer to work with him? Or does he have to have his agent, or not, a lawyer that his agent might hire or might have introduced him to before? Does Lamar Jackson have that? Does Lamar Jackson have the ability now to ask for the use of the private plane? Is that going to be in his lexicon to ask for use of the private plane when he on off days? Is he going to have used to the wherewithal to ask for the is he going to have the is he going to have the wherewithal to ask for a paid holiday or a vacation house? Is he gonna have it? And is this all of this stuff that is commonplace for an agent to ask for, that Lamar Jackson is not familiar with? That's what I can say. He's doing.
Yeah,
He might be doing
Cam,
some
and all that was extremely disrespectful because what you're
How is
trying
that
to say.
disrespectful? How is that
Everything you
disrespectful?
just said was really super disrespectful because
How is that disrespectful?
I'm about to explain it to you. You got time?
I got a few minutes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So before he's had an agent before, this isn't like he just kind of came on and said like, "Oh, you know what? I'm just going to represent myself," right? He's
Okay.
had an agent before, so he's been through this process before.
Okay.
Okay, and you're acting like he is so naive and arrogant to think that he understands all of these other nuances of signing a contract that no one else knows. And of course, he understands he doesn't understand everything about it. So, yeah, he has advisors around him. You act like it's just a one man
No,
gang. Like,
no, he's
I'm
working
just
with
going
his
to pick up
mom.
a
He's
contract
working.
and just read all 400 pages all by myself and just sign off on every little thing it says in the contract. No
My
one ever
understanding,
said that. What they
my
said is that
my
he's
understanding, he's
representing
working with his
himself.
mom.
They didn't say he
My
didn't have any
understanding.
lawyers. They didn't say that he knows everything about what the contract should stipulate and say. No one ever said that. So you're making it seem like he thinks he can walk in and talk to Mr. Scotty and like he's like a lawyer. No one ever said that. He's just representing
Again,
himself.
I think I started off by the comments by saying
No, you
I
start
don't
off like
understand.
he's not gonna understand this.
I
He's not
thought
gonna understand when to get the private plane. He's not gonna
started off with.
understand the net present value of money. He's not gonna understand
I asked.
a
That
flat
was the
fee ad
question.
versus escalating. Like, okay,
The,
you're already doing him a disservice. You're already disrespecting him.
I was
And
asking a
you're acting
question.
like he's just
So I can't
walking
ask the
into
question.
the office by
So I can't
himself
ask the
with
question now.
no other representation or advisement. And
So
that's
you're as
super
sensitive
corny.
as these young cats running around because I simply asked the question.
No,
So,
you didn't ask the question. You
I
said
did
he
ask the
doesn't
question.
have all of these
I
things
said, does
going
he
on.
I
And
asked it. I said, I
is this
don't
a
know.
detriment in the negotiation process because he doesn't do all these things? Like he walked into the office thinking like, yeah, I know everything about this whole thing.
Well,
No.
your girlfriend Ninja seems to agree with you.
That's because I'm making a very valid point that you are thinking that he's just walking in off the street.
No, I didn't say that. I
Give my 300
started
mil
my point
right now.
I started my point off by saying I'm not sure of this process. I'm not sure how he's handling this process.
And then you went on to say, does he know how to do this?
Does
he know
you're
how to
right.
do
Is he
that?
doing
Does
a
he know how to
disservice?
do this? Does he
Is
know how to do
promoting
that?
this?
And the answer is you're not giving him enough credit for knowing for him to not know what he doesn't know and thinking that he knows everything going into a contract negotiation for over $250 million.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it actually ends up. We'll see. Do you think he's going to play a game under this final year of this contract?
Or he will play all of the games under this contract.
You don't think he's going to demand the contract before he signs? Before the season starts?
He already said once it gets going, it's going.
And how many? What percentage
they
of agents?
They already offered him less than Deshaun, and it's like, okay, it's going.
What percentage of agents would agree with that theory, Mr. Cleveland?
Oh, probably 0% of agents would agree with that because A, they want their cut, and B, what they think is best for the player is that you always have insurance. This is not that. He's just going to ball out, and it's going to cost them $10 million more a year.
So it's going to be $50 million if contract. $50 million for the next 5 years is going to be the contract now.
I mean, you tell me if he balls out and wins NFL MVP, or that team gets to the playoffs, or dare I say their goal of the Super Bowl, the dynamics have changed dramatically, right?
Cleveland is it? I don't think the Ravens, and you know how I love.
Cam, teams have already shown that they will wait out someone that has to sit for 11 games, giving them $230 million guaranteed dollars. What would make you think that Lamar Jackson thinks that he's worth any less than that? And he's not even 25 years old yet.
No, see, I'm not saying he's his worth. I'm not questioning his value. I'm not questioning.
You're questioning his judgment because he doesn't have an agent, and you're questioning whether he understands the gravity and the seriousness of the situations within the negotiations. You're questioning whether he thinks that he's getting this when he's getting that, or he's not understanding the whole big picture. So,
yeah, is that not fair to ask though? Is that not fair to ask if NFL quarterback
that's a fair question to ask.
Is an NFL quarterback is not more as knowledgeable as an NFL agent? That's not a fair question.
That is an extremely fair question to ask.
So the
unfair part is when you start the conversation off with he's not smart enough to have thought about all of those things. And he's walking into the room.
I never said he's not smart enough to figure this out. I never said that. I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, you're just not trying to listen to what it is that you just said.
I know what I just said.
If he had an agent, they would know these things. And if he had an agent, they would be asking these questions. But it's just Lamar walking in there.
I started off by saying, does he know? Is he familiar with this? That's what I want to know. You can't possibly tell me he's as familiar as an agent.
The answer, and what was my answer, is that he is smart enough to know that he doesn't know all of the answers.
Okay, all right.
So to think that he's just walking in, just Googling how to sign a $250 million contract is just ridiculous, man.
I think just to have your mom go in there and represent you is just as
ridiculous. My son be balling. I mean, you think that's how they're walking? That's what you're making it seem like. Maybe you don't mean to, but you're making it seem like it's just his mom and his cousin walking in like Lamar be balling. He need his cheese. And if we don't see 280 million, we walking out the room.
Hey, look. Come on, man. Hey, look. I like to have him.
I would like to think that he is well beyond that, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt. If you question that, perhaps, and if it's going down the way that you're saying,
why not just bring the lawyer in? Why not just bring the agent in to exsolve all that, clear all that up?
Because he's representing himself.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we're gonna see how this works out, and I'm gonna keep my eye on it. And I wish the best for Lamar. And just as a prediction, though, I do not see Lamar having the MVP season. I do not see Lamar having that year that he had a couple years ago. They're less talented at the wide receiver position, so I don't expect his passing numbers, his percentage, his passing percentage, his passing touchdowns. I don't expect that to increase. So we're going to see the same. I mean, he has a full. He impacts the game in many ways. So he has a full array of talent running the ball and passing the ball. He's a dual threat back there. But I just don't see him having the season that he had 2 years ago to win the MVP. And so in that respect, that's another way I think he could be doing himself a disservice by not kind of getting the contract done when they want to pay him. So that's what I think about Lamar. We'll see how things play out. I know the Ravens will be tough, and I expect him to not sit out the final 6 games and still lead them to a playoffs again this season. Another talking about the other quarterback that you brought him up, who did make the 230 guaranteed mil, Deshaun Watson. Finally, the NFL said it's 11 games, buddy. So the lawyer tried to give him the 6 games. You heard. I'm surprised that they actually came to the settlement of the 11 games. But for reasons, the NFL can blame themselves that they didn't get the full 18 games or 17 games like they wanted. But it was 11 games, $5 million fine. Is that enough or just about right? What do you think?
I think it's probably just about right. I mean, in best case scenario, it would have been a little more heavy-handed, but given all of the factors that are involved, I think that's about right.
Yeah, the NFL kind of stubbed their toe, if you will, in this one. They wanted they wanted the full season, the 17 games, but they couldn't do the 17 games because then if they did push for the 17 games, the players union was going to file a lawsuit and then focus on the lack of punishment the NFL is handing down to the owners. Um, and so the NFL was like, okay, we don't want no discovery with our owners. We know what's going on, and isn't it funny though that still in that what was it, the discovery process with the Washington Commanders, that they found the emails from 10 years ago from a member who wasn't even part of the NFL at that time, um, and they railroaded him out of the league. But then all the other stuff got shut down, right? Wasn't there like 10,000 pages of crap that they got from the Commanders, and all of a sudden we hear nothing but the 2 pages of emails that John Gruden had to throw out there. Um, but the NFL doesn't want their owners involved in any discovery. So with the threat of the NFLPA threatening to sue because of the lack of punishment going down to the NFL owners, we see what we have here now: 11-game fine. Instead of what we saw, a $20 million fine when it was a 6 game, it's a $5 million fine. And with that $5 million fine, that's going to be stretched out like the Bobby Bonilla deal, to where it'll be 50 cents over the next every week for Deshaun Watson for the and for the until that bill's paid for. So was that okay? Fine. I think 11 games is still strong, and that's more than half your season for the Cleveland Browns. That's still more than half the season. I don't think Brissett can get them. If Brissett can get them to 500 record at that point, I mean they're playing with house money when they get Deshaun Watson back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the NFL didn't stub their toe with regards to kind of how they handle this. The NFL stubbed their toe and they decided they wanted to be out of the punishment business, and then did not want to have to deal with the backlash of whatever that decision is. So they still kind of wanted influence over how much the punishment would be, even though they didn't want to be involved in the punishment process. So that's where they stubbed their toe. With regards to Cleveland, I mean, they still got the chubby guy, they still got Amari, and they still got some things they can do. Maybe Kareem, takes a look at the at the elevator footage again and decides, he's not really wanting, get a trade. Miles Garrett and those guys, kind of,
And you talk about me being disrespectful?
ascent to the level of being an elite defense, and like you're saying, yeah, all of a sudden 6-5 doesn't look that insurmountable. If they come back 3-8, you're chalking it up. They come back 6-5, yeah, it's a different thing. It's must see TV all of a sudden.
But I don't know. Can they come back 6-5? And this is what I said. I don't know that Brissett can.
Schedule's hard. Their schedule is hard, man. And I don't have enough confidence in Jacoby Brissett to say that I think they're going to do that. What I said was their running game is really, really strong.
Yeah.
They have decent to better than average receivers, and that defense is really, really good.
Okay, so here's their schedule. Here we got the Browns. Count the wins, I'll count the losses. Browns played the Panthers game 1.
Win.
They played their old quarterback in
that's a win.
Baker Mayfield. Okay, so that's one win. They got the Jets. That's 2 wins. They got the Steelers.
Perhaps that's Zach. So okay, we'll give them 2-0. We're being optimistic about this, right?
Optimistic. So they're 2-0. Then they got the Steelers. They got the Steelers. That's their first loss. Well, I mean, the Steelers are going to be playing a rookie quarterback. They're playing Trubisky.
We don't know who the Steelers are playing, so
rookie or Trubisky.
You're going a little too far.
Okay, well,
a little too far. But they lose that game, so they're 2-1.
2-1. Then they got the Falcons. That's 3-1. They 3-1. And they got the Falcons. Then they got the Chargers.
We're giving it to him. We're giving it to him. Marcus looked pretty. Marcus looked pretty okay, but we're giving it to him.
That's the Falcons. No
so
defense. The 3-1. Then they got the Chargers, and then they welcome 3-2. Okay, they got the Patriots.
3-3.
Patriots come to 3-3. They got the Ravens.
3-4.
3-4. Then they got the Bengals.
3-5.
And they got the Dolphins.
3-6.
Okay, so now that's 9 games. That's 9 games, right? They got the Bills.
3-7.
And they got the Buccaneers.
3-8.
And there's 3-8. And he comes back against the Texans is 3-8. So Brissett can't. We just
so like you were saying, if he can get them to 6-5 with that schedule, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, okay. So we don't count on that, Browns fan. So we just went down the schedule. They're gonna be 3-8 when Deshaun comes back. There's a lot of new coaches in the league right now. 10 new coaches on the league. We got Lovie Smith taking over the Texans. Matt
he took over last year. He's not new.
Who Lovie is?
Yeah.
Last year it wasn't.
They finally had to get rid of Bill O'Brien. It was just too much.
It was the interim dude. Remember they hired the dude trying to keep the Collier. I want to say.
Oh man, I mean, but let me. Okay, all right. We'll give him. New coach status. Sure, Lovey. Okay, there's one.
Bears have Eberflus. The Jaguars have Peterson. The Giants have Dable. The Vikings have O'Connell. The Dolphins have McDaniels. The Broncos have Hackett. The Saints have Dennis Allen. The Raiders have Josh McDaniels. And the Buccaneers have Todd Bowles. Who's going to have the best season this year out of these coaches?
Hackett with the Denver Broncos.
Hackett out of these coaches? He's going to have a better record than the Broncos? Or, than the Raiders?
Yes.
And the Buccaneers with Todd Bowles?
Yes.
And the Saints with Dennis Allen. Hackett's going to have a better record.
Yes, with the Denver Broncos, yes.
Interesting. Is that, I know you're a fantasy for Russell, but are you like now? I know how you jumped on Ryan Tannehill's bandwagon last year. Are you in the Tennessee Titans? Are you jumping on the Broncos bandwagon this season? But and you already have the Chargers.
I'm so sorry. I don't recall. Have I ever jumped on Russell Wilson's bandwagon?
I'm sorry. Oh, you've been driving
Russell Wilson's bandwagon.
Ouch. Where's your number 3 jersey? Why don't you show the fans your number 3? The white number 3, the blue number 3, the colorway green fluorescent green number 3. Why don't you show the Why don't you show the exactly? Why don't you show the people? Why don't you show the fans your number 3 jersey? Have I ever jumped on the Russell Wilson bandwagon? You've been crying for a whole season that he's not there. What are you talking about? You've been crying all summer long. Your eyes have been droopy because you don't have your quarterback. So what are you talking about? Have I ever jumped on the bandwagon?
Again, like I say, how is that jumping on a bandwagon? I've been a Russell Wilson supporter since Pete Carroll made the decision that Matt Flynn and his tired arm can sit right there on the bench next to me, and number 3 will take the field, and we'll see where that goes.
Oh, so you just saying now? So he's still my guy. Is that what you're just telling me? He's still my guy.
You make it sound like I just made this decision like when he went to orange and blue. I don't understand.
Usually when they leave the team, and you got to
I understand why the divorce happened, man, and I can see it from both sides. And hey, man, best luck to him. I don't have any ill feelings or ill will about it. It was a very awkward, odd situation, and you know how I feel about it. I always take the talent.
I see. So you're very forgiving here. So okay, so you're like, so when he comes back on Monday night, you're going to be cheering for him. basically.
I'm not going to be
You're gonna give him a
cheering
round of
for him,
applause.
but I am
You're gonna
fully
give him. You're gonna give him a stand up
anticipating.
ovation.
I'm not going to be
Standing ovation.
cheering. Let's see here.
Yeah, they're gonna everybody in Seattle. It's gonna be a standing ovation. They're gonna give him like a 7-minute standing
No,
ovation.
they they
When he
they
comes
they
out, when they
already
come out, they're
booed.
gonna stop. The game is
No,
gonna stop the game. Well, I
no,
bet.
they
Watch.
already
Watch.
booed the hell out of him when he came back for Sue Bird's last game. I was like, wow, that's weird. Like
Oh,
for real, like a
he wasn't
nine-time
sued.
Pro
Come
Bowler,
on.
like someone that's
Come on.
like never missed a game until he broke his finger. Weird.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? You're gonna be standing there. You guys gonna give him a 7-minute standing ovation. They're gonna pause the game. You got probably
Oh
gonna give him a
no,
game
no, no,
ball.
no, no,
You
no.
got
He
probably
did.
gonna give him a
No,
game ball.
no, no, no.
You got probably gonna
He,
give him a game ball before it starts.
with regards to the rest of the fans, he left very unceremoniously. So no, none of that is happening. But yes, I am taking the Broncos plus the points when it comes out.
Oh well, that ain't no big deal. That's not so who cares? We already know what's gonna happen in that game. Um, man, should the crack back block be legislated out of the game?
It's hard to legislate those kind of things out of the game. They have legislated so many other things, but it's typically like kind of
It's
across
gonna
the
be
middle and that kind of thing. So
it's gonna be legislated out of the game. As I hate to admit it, I really hate to admit it. I hate that they're making the game softer. When that guy is coming back, I mean that's one of the free uh, crackback blocks happen in a couple of different fashions. Where either when you have your smaller, oftentimes he's a smaller than your defensive line and your defensive linebacker. You have your wide receiver, your running back, your tight end, whoever it is, coming in motion, and then that rusher, when the ball snaps, get to take a couple snaps up the field, and then whoever that guy is in motion. Oftentimes, the job is to block that guy, and that's why they put him in motion so he can get some momentum, get ahead of steam going when he does come off the line. He can contact with some force and some rhythm. But when they have when that guy is so small, that running back or third wide receiver, just keep that in mind. Who's often coming in motion, creating this block, going against a much bigger defensive lineman or defensive linebacker, the easiest way to block that guy. And you keep in mind when you're blocking your job is really just to hold the guy up, slow him down. You know, the guy's gonna get by you, but if you can slow him down and steer him away from where the ball carrier is coming, that's really you've done your job. So you don't. Every block doesn't have to be a pancake block. Every block, the blockers are using their hand, and again, just trying to guide the defender in a certain direction away from the ball carrier. So that's what they're trying to do. But when the guy's coming in motion and he goes to make that contact, now again, the defender is much bigger than this either the running back or the receiver. These are the guys who's often making this play against the linebacker or that defensive lineman. And the best way, the easiest way to kind of slow him down instead of because he's just going to push you down or run over top of you because again the size advantage there most often. The easiest way to kind of slow him down is chop block him, meaning you're going for his legs. You're not intending to go for his knees, but you're going for his legs to try to immobilize him, try to get him on the ground. If you get him on the ground, that's excellent. You've been went above and beyond your job. But that's the task to try to get him on the ground. So you go for the chop block, try to take his legs out. So now he has to get back up, and by the time he gets back up, the play has gone downfield. Defenders are so skilled nowadays that they can play off. They see it coming. They can use their hands, and if they're not going to run through the blocker, the guy trying to make the block, they can kind of keep him off of him or keep him off his legs. If they're not able to do that, then obviously the offensive guy has won. And so that's what we saw with the guy from Oregon. Shoot, I'm one of my
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Thibodeau, exactly right. Now again, what is he? 6'6", 6'6", 220. So he's coming off the end. There's a lot of leg to it, and the guy, he went probably lower than he should have, and he went into his knee. And now that creates a problem where now we see that's the potential of the chop block. That's the potential danger of the chop block. Is now when you go for his knee, now Thibodeau's going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks. We're hoping it's just a sprain and not a knee, not a tear, not a sprain, not a twist, not a snap of the ligament where he'd be out of full year. That's the danger of it. But most times there's not that huge height advantage. Thibodeau obviously 6'6" going off the edge, he's just all exposed. So in his first time kind of going through this, and I'm sure he wasn't getting a lot of crack black box from the smaller guys in college because he's flying off the edge and getting to the quarterback. And so there was a kind of no blame, I don't think, goes to the running back. He should kind of be up higher, make him see what you're blocking, not go for the knees. But it's just kind of things that happen. And that's why I think it'll eventually be legislated of the game. Your thoughts?
Well, Cam, I mean, everything is kind of geared and targeted towards making the game safer. I mean, best case scenario, you want all of your top players playing week 1. But we're also kind of angling towards that thing where you're just being overly cautious, right? Like you're always trying to mitigate the opportunity for someone to get hurt, and football is just not one of those kind of games.
And what's the thing? You cannot play football. You cannot go out there and play timid football. You can't do it. You can't. That's the reason why.
Yeah, and you can't eliminate every single type of block or tackle or anything that will completely eliminate injury or bring it down to a level where those things never happen. I mean, it's always going to happen. It's the nature of what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. So I would never vote against not playing preseason games. No, I would never vote against not playing.
Oh, Cam, you don't want me you don't want me to miss a practice. So I mean, you guys say that. I mean, sure.
I mean, so, hey, some people. I need to make it clear. Some people think they need. Some people think we don't need play preseason games. Some people think we can just run 3/4 speed all the way up until game time. You can do that. You can do that. Your team will probably be the most healthiest team out there, if that's the route you want to go. But your team is going to look like shit game 1. Your team's going to look like shit game 2 because they're not going to know how to tackle. And will they ever learn how to tackle? Game 3 and game 4, because will they want to tackle? Because they haven't been doing it for the last 6 weeks. So why? How is it all of a sudden now they're going to start tackling now? If they don't have this mentality coming into the training camp and they're not doing it in training camp once we get the pads on, it's just not going to happen because these games count now all of a sudden. So it's a common problem. I try to vent my frustration to Coach Staley. He's like, Cameron, dude, we can't freaking tackle. We want our guys safe for game time. Okay, Coach, well, you make sure you guys are safe for game time. But I tell you what, in game 1, I bet them Raiders are going to put up a lot of yards on you guys because they're not ready to tackle. They're not ready. You wish, yes, they are pros and they know how to tackle. You're absolutely right. They are pros. But they have to practice tackling. You just don't tackle. You just don't wake out of bed in the morning and start tackling the 215-pound man come running at you. You just don't wake out of bed and just not just something you just normally want to go do. So if you're not doing it consistently before the game starts, before the game time, before the first kickoff is done, you're not going to do it when the first kickoff is done. This is the point I'm trying to tell you guys. This is what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Cleveland.
Oh, I know. If it was up to you, we would be tackling right now, right out in front of right this door right here.
Well, we'd have tackled today. We'd have done some hitting today. We'd have put on the pads and got some hitting. And you're exactly right.
You text me at 11:30. Let's go out and hit. I understand.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why there's a need. That's why there's a need for it. Or what we're going to have is everybody's trying to because it's collectively a bargain that there's no 2-a-days because they're only wearing pads 2 days in a row, and then the third day they
Cam, I see how disgusted you are with every concession that you're talking about, yet and still all these things have made the game safer and made the players safer. So
it hasn't made the game better. It hasn't made the game better.
I didn't
You
say.
didn't say
It's
that.
made the game. It's made the game
Exactly.
different.
It had better. No, well, okay. Are you interested in different or you interested in better? What you interested in? And I said,
The way
I'm trying to tell you how the game is going to
the
be
way
made work.
the way the game was going, Cam, we were going to see some fatalities out there,
Oh my, come
for
on.
sure.
Yeah, we seen the last fatality we seen in the NFL was in '78. So stop it. Okay, it was in '78. Okay, so did the
So
game did the game get
just to kind of
did the game get
piggyback on
bigger?
your point,
Did the game get
just to
bigger?
kind of
Did
piggyback on
did
your
the game get
point,
bigger or smaller
that
since
was
then?
44 years ago,
So
and
the
these
game get bigger
players
or
are
smaller since
so
then?
much bigger, stronger, and faster than they were when that happened.
Did the game get bigger
That
or smaller
if
since then?
if you played the game with the rules that Kenny Easley and Jack Tatum and Ronnie Lott and Steve Atwater and Chip Banks and those guys played the game with, yeah, someone would lose their life.
Again, I say it, Cleveland.
And
Somebody
you would
lost
be
their
okay
life.
with that because
Somebody,
that's just the evolution of the game.
somebody lost their life in '78. Did the game get bigger, or did it get thrown into the dark
Bro,
ages? Did it get put on
like
cable
I just
TV?
said, they were running 4.8 back then. They're running 4.29s now.
You didn't answer my question.
Bigger and stronger and
You didn't answer my question.
faster. If you
Is the game more
allowed the
popular?
game to be
Is the game more
played with the
popular now?
rules they were
Is
played
the game
with
more
back
popular
then,
today, or was it
you would
popular in
have
the '80s?
far more fatalities than that one
You're not
in
answering my question.
1978.
You're not answering my
And
question.
you
Is the
would
game
have a
more
bunch
popular?
of people
You're not
walking
answering my
around like
question. You're not answering my
zombies
question.
by the time they were
You're not answering
32
my
years
question.
old.
He refuses to answer my question, Ninja. He refuses to answer my question. Is the game more popular today in
The game is
2022,
more popular
or
than it's
was it
ever.
more popular
The
in the
game
80s?
is more
80s.
popular than it's
Oh,
ever
So
been,
the one
and it's
fatality we
only
had in
getting more
1978
popular.
didn't slow down the game. So the one fatality that happened in 1978 didn't slow down the game. It didn't slow down the game. Did it?
No, it did
Oh,
not.
okay. Enough said. Enough said. So the teams.
Wow, is that really enough said? Is that kind of the stance that you're taking?
No, but you're trying to tell me the way the game was going, somebody was gonna die.
They
I'm trying to
they ran a
do.
half a second slower at the position of impact. A half a second slower.
And your point is. And your point is.
That they're bigger, stronger,
Yeah,
and
we know that.
faster
Uh-huh.
than ever.
Okay.
And if you still had the same rules that you had in 1978 when you had that one fatality, you'd have like 50.
I don't know about 50.
So
50
no,
50
it's not. It's a
50
much safer game. And did this contribute to the popularity of the game? No, the game contributed to the popularity of the game.
Oh, so but the game still flourished. The game still was allowed to flourish.
Yeah, the game was still the biggest thing in the United States.
The teams must get down to the cut down by Tuesday the 16th. They had to get down to 85. By the 23rd, yesterday, they had to get down to 80. And by August 30th, next week, they have to get down to 53 men on the team. What were some notable cuts that you noticed? So noticeable cuts that I saw was Tavon Austin got cut by the Buffalo Bills. Brett Huntley, I'm kind of surprised he got cut by the Ravens. I know the Ravens. He was a number 3. I guess he lost his spot to the number 3. But I was kind of surprised that the Ravens cut him. Sheldon Day, wasn't he an ex-Huxley for defense tackle? He was an early round pick, if I'm not mistaken, by the Browns.
Danny Shelton, you talking about?
No, Sheldon Day. Sheldon, he was Sheldon. What? Danny Sheldon. Where did he go? Who picked him?
Somebody picked up Danny Shelton, and they're going to be better for that if he's in shape. So.
I want to say the Chiefs got him, don't they?
Quite possibly. They're trying to rebuild.
Okay. Sheldon Day went to Sheldon Day went to Notre Dame. That's why.
Yeah, why you trying to put that on the dub, man? Come on now.
Huh? Sheldon they went to Notre Dame. I mean,
Okay, well, yeah, you trying to make this like
Notre Dame, so
yeah, okay.
So yeah, he got cut, and then Kenyan Drake got cut by the Raiders. Surprised that the Kenyan Drake got cut. Any surprises? Are you surprised that maybe Jimmy G didn't get cut?
There's never any surprises when players get cut, because those people in those camps know what they're seeing, and they know what they're seeing from the other players, and it's never a surprise if they get picked up by someone else and get some new adrenaline, get into a different system, and not so much as expected of them, or whatever system they're in accentuates their talents and masks their weaknesses, then great. But at this point, it's just way too early to say, oh my God, I'm so surprised they cut that dude. It's like, no, we've been watching that dude for like 5 weeks.
Well, no, I'm just saying Tavon Austin, like, I was surprised.
Tavon Austin ain't never been what he was supposed to be, so ain't no surprise he got cut. He was a first round pick out of West Virginia, ran a 4.2 whatever, and was never that dude. So no, not a surprise.
Kenyan Drake,
the retread from a bunch of other teams. It ain't no surprise. His knees probably been hurting all camp long. He ain't been able to get that extension. That he ain't been able to get that momentum, and it's not a surprise.
See, he just don't like him because he went to Bama. That's I know where that comes from. Cleveland, let's take a break here, man. We'll come back. We're gonna get into the NBA topics, man. We're gonna talk about what happened in Seattle. We're gonna talk about the SPU. What did the building collapse, man? Was there somebody pulled a fire alarm? I mean, what happened? Why they couldn't keep basketball going on the
can't wait to hear your take on this, Cam. Yeah, for sure.
What do you mean? I want to know what happened.
We're taking a break, right? So I'm just saying I can't wait to hear your take on all this.
I mean, I wasn't there. Hopefully, you can let the fans know what went down.
Okay, well, yeah, let's chit chat about it in a sec.
Yeah, okay. So let's take a little break, man. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some NBA topics. Whew. What's the weather like up there?
It's 90 goddamn fucking degrees.
It's like 69 right now down here.
On the goddamn fucking third floor, so that's why I keep taking my hat off and wiping my face.
It's like 69 down here. It was like 70. I think it was
okay, well, don't get too comfortable, right? You about to go to someplace where it ain't like that, right? Try to sell
No.
me on a semi-travel dream, brother. Yeah, you got to be like slave, like a slave.
Oh, he went back to the roots.
Like, God damn, how these motherfuckers even walk around outside? It's crazy.
Shoot. Hold on, let me see this one thing. One text. Um, all right, fans. Thank you guys for tuning in. Another fine episode of Voice of the Fans podcast. This is your man Cam. Got my man Cleavon up in the Northwest telling me that it's baking up there, huh?
It's bacon, man.
Um, Fans, we appreciate you guys for tuning into the show. Week 204, this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. And we got a lot of content for you guys week after week, week after week, week after week. But this week, Cleavon, we want to talk about Jason Tatum, LeBron James, getting off the plane at SeaTac Airport, heading over to SPU to go get down at the Jamal Crawford crossover pro am. What a sight it was, man! It was. I seen a lot of people out there, a lot of black men out there. I mean, it had to be half the black men in Seattle, more than half the black men in the city of Seattle showed up for that event. From the videos I saw, what was it like, man? What was the buzz around the city? Talk to me about what it was like to be up there when that was going down.
Cam, I wasn't there personally, but the buzz was amazing. I mean, once the king decided that he was going to come up here and bless us with his presence, people were waiting outside, camped outside for 24 to 48 hours. It's a free event. So it's not like they could buy tickets. They were just trying to, be a part of the environment and the atmosphere, and what the king brings, one of his, pupils in Jason Tatum and a few of his other pupils in DeJounte Murray and Paulo were there as well. Chet Holmgren. So it was a momentous occasion and testament to what the king brings.
So, I mean, it was more than just a stat line because the stat line I saw, I don't think he got in double digits in the game. But there was just some highlight plays that he had. But it was just been more about just the presence, right? You sound blessed. You say bless him with your presence as if you never seen a man in such glory up there. Which I would just say, man, it was good for him to bring some NBA action back to the town. When was the last time in your memory that you seen that many black people, black men in one area in the city of Seattle? When's the last time you seen that?
Wow, that's a great question, Cam. I can't say that I can put my finger on any one particular event that brought that many per se. I guess it would have to be the last time Michael Jordan was here.
Wow. Well, I mean, the jamborees used to get pretty thick. I mean, Metro City jamborees.
For sure. The Metro City jamborees used to get pretty thick, but those were not men. Those were kids, mostly. So that doesn't count.
I don't remember. Do they still have bubbling brown sugar? Do they still
have bubbling brown sugar? Again, kids, not grown men. That doesn't count. The Torchlight Parade doesn't count. The Body Seattle doesn't count.
Torchlight wasn't predominantly black. I'm just trying to think predominantly black events. Like, do they still? Franklin's talent show used to be the biggest talent show outside of Bubbling Brown Sugar. I think Bubbling Brown Sugar was a response to Franklin's talent show, if I remember correctly.
For sure.
But Franklin, that hasn't been like that was not the preeminent talent show like it once was. I remember trying to sneak. Well, I snuck in there a few years consecutively. Didn't get got caught the first year, ended up having to pay. The second year we snuck in. That was a preeminent talent show in the city at the time, mid to late '80s. Um, I can't think of one. I was hoping you can think of you could.
No, I wish I could just respond with some amazing event that takes place here all the time that you just weren't aware of, but no, not really.
I mean, I wasn't there when the Sonics was in the '90s. Sonics was going crazy, so I don't know what that was like.
It was amazing, yeah.
But again, that was more of a city thing. That wasn't a particular class thing. So, from what you saw of the highlights, did that show you, give you confidence that LeBron has more in the tank?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm not sure if you realize LeBron averaged 30 points a game last year, so I think he has plenty left in the tank. And plus, he didn't have to go through the rigors of playing through, unfortunately, whether it's a gift or a curse. He didn't play any playoff games this last season, so he's super duper.
You said he averaged 30 points last season?
Yes.
Yeah, did they make the playoffs?
They did not, no.
So those 30 points is pretty much meaningless, right?
I think your question was, does he still have something left in the tank? And the answer was, well, yes, because he averaged 30 points a game last year. So even if he averaged 20 points a game, you would still say he has something left in the tank. But that would be 10 points less than he averaged last year, and that's not going to happen. So, yeah, he's got something left in the tank.
Oh, so you're saying right now he won't average less than 20 points a season?
Yeah, I'm saying right now LeBron James will not average less than 20 points a game.
You want to put a number on that, sir? So if he won't drop to 25 points a game, if he won't drop to 20 points a game, will it drop to 25 points a game?
I see where you're trying to go with this, Cam, and I'm not gonna play your game. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe, man. I'm not gonna put a number on that, man. If you want to get out on that ledge out there on the skyscraper and say LeBron's not gonna average 20 points a game, then say that.
No, you just told me.
I'm asking you a question. In your opinion, is LeBron gonna average more than 20 points a game?
He'll probably average more than 20 points a game.
Okay, well, then that mean he has something left in the tank then.
Okay, with that, if he dropped to 25,
but I'm not going to handicap it for you to like 22.6 plus or minus. No, man.
Where's your confidence at? Where's your confidence at?
Is Kawhi going to average 28?
He'll be better than 28.
Oh, he'll be better than 28.
He'll be better than 28.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so you got something on that then.
He'll be better than 28. So what did you take away from Paulo and Chet competing in Tari? Tari looked. I told you Tari Eason. I thought he was the best player that we saw at Summer League. Chet obviously. Paulo didn't play long enough. Chet did some things, but I thought Tari was the best player. He was the most complete package that we saw. What did you think of his performance there with those three, their performance in Summer League or with the crossover?
Again, these are glorified scrimmages, and the biggest thing to come out of this,
gracious.
The biggest thing to come out of this was Chet Holmgren tore ligaments in his foot, and we're hoping that this is not something that will discourage people from playing the crossover, in future years.
So, with your stance, you want to hold on to the glorified scrimmage stance, right? So, what made this so impactful that LeBron would come play in the glorified scrimmage game?
Oh man, he understands the hotbed of hoop that the 206 is. I mean, he was given credit to Jamal Crawford and what he's been able to kind of cultivate here and bring him back to this city, man. He's like, man, I see what's going on with you guys. I see you guys. I see Paulo and DeJounte. I see all the bigger players coming in. I'm in the twilight of my career, man, about to pass the throne, pass the baton to Bronny, man. Sure, let me get a few of these in.
Whatever, man. Did you I told you weeks ago, if I was the Nets brass, I'd have just told KD, just sit over there, bro. Just over there. I wouldn't trade it. Wouldn't even discuss trading. And now, what do we find out weeks later? Oh, everything's all good. KD and Kyrie coming back next season. Where does this put the Nets next season? And how confident are you with those two finishing the season together?
Not very confident with those two finishing this season together. There's quite a bit of turmoil that's still going on behind the scenes. I think what Kevin Durant understood is that the teams that had the most assets to trade for him to make it a, you know, equitable trade were not actually trade partners that they could engage in with trade talks. So once he kind of saw that the landscape was not favorable for him, um, regardless of all of the threats and you know uh, veiled ultimatums that he made to ownership, it's like, okay, well, do you understand your value? And if you do, then you understand that the teams that you want to go to don't have enough assets to give us in return. And the teams that do have enough assets can't trade them to us. So this is kind of where we're at. Um, you and that other grown man are going to have to work this out. And hopefully you guys can come to some type of resolution. Probably not, just because understanding the way that those two personalities work, yeah, by December, there's going to be some problems.
By December, it's gonna be by December.
Yeah.
This season starts in November. um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from these. I, I don't know what to. I don't know what to expect. Again, I'm not even gonna waste my time trying to prognosticate what these guys are gonna do. Talented, if bar injuries, if we're playing 2K, we turn the injuries off. This team in some later season, this team makes it to the NBA Finals. But however, the games aren't played like that. They are actually played like that. You do have to deal with the players' emotions. You have to deal with their ups and downs, and the Nets are going to have their share of that. KD, I mean, I said last week he's reminding me of 2007 Kobe. Um, that's about the time. Although I was never a Laker fan, I was a number 8 fan. Um, so impressed at his resiliency. Right up until that 2007 season when he just started whining and complaining. And Kobe, you created that problem, so I didn't want to know. I didn't want to hear that whining and complaining because he created that scenario. So now you deal with the scenario that you created. KD is kind of the same thing. It's he. I guess KD is just one of those guys who would never be happy. He wasn't happy in OKC. Won some championships in Golden State. That wasn't happy enough for him. Went to Brooklyn, and then months ago he started crying and complaining about he wanted to be out of town. Didn't said he wanted to just go to winning teams. I think does it? Do you think, in the sense that LeBron is a better leader? So I credit LeBron for that, what he did in the bubble, and then when his leadership when they won the championship in the bubble. I give him a lot of credit for that leadership. I thought that was the best job of leadership that he's done in his career, in my opinion. At the same breath, I'm very disappointed in KD's lack of willingness to be a leader, to show up and be a leader. When the his teams need leadership, he refuses to show leadership. This summer he refused to show leadership by saying, "Okay, guys, we're going to get this together. We're going to be back. We're going to work this out." Instead, he cries, "I want to be traded. I don't know what happened with. I don't know what's happening with Kyrie. I want to be traded. Get me out of here." Blah blah blah. Like, that's not leadership. That's where LeBron has been better than KD in their career, most recently. And do you think that lack of willingness to show leadership or to be a leader on the team on his teams impacts KD's legacy at all?
No, because I think that the NBA, unlike any other sport, is a sport wherein that's something that you're hoping for. but that's probably not what you're going to get out of your best player. It's just been proven time and time again, over and over again, that when you try and put that burden and responsibility of leadership on players that never told you they were going to be a leader, never conducted themselves as a leader on or off the court, and all of a sudden, because they get older or because your team needs that, all of a sudden you look at them as the focal point of being the leader. And that's not who they are. That's not what their personality or temperament is. They never ever told you they were going to do that. And KD is just the most recent example. Carmelo Anthony, Allen Iverson, there are numerous others. They never ever told you, do as I say, or rather, do as I do. You know, follow me to the strip club, follow me to wherever I'm going, hang out with the cats that I hang out with. I'm going to play lockdown defense and rebound, and we're going to go over film at 11:30 at night. Nobody ever told you they were going to do that. What they told you is that when I show up at the arena, you can write down in a Sharpie pen 28 with the Sharpie.
Okay.
You don't got to do it with the pen or the pencil. With the Sharpie, it's going to be 28 or higher. So when you want these guys to nurture your younger players and make them better players and set an example and set the tone, they never told you they were going to do that. They told you they were ballers. They told you they could put the ball in the hole, and that's all that they're.
So Cleveland. So in that same breath, I understand exactly what you're saying. You can't expect a guy to be somebody that they're not. I understand that point exactly. Isn't that the burden of the best player on the team?
No.
That's not the burden of the best player on the team?
No. Not in hoop. You would like if all of those things came in that package that you're looking for, but there are times when it doesn't, and you have to just accept that. Your most talented player is not your best player necessarily. Your most talented player is not the most influential player necessarily.
You're not wrong in stating that. I'm kind of frustrated when that's not the case. I think when you're saying fairly, you're saying he shouldn't be burned. You're just saying let Carmelo go get 28 points a game. Period. Then don't. If you can just chalk him up for 28, don't expect nothing else from him. And then I think that's where
I'm saying that if you get those other things, it's a bonus. But he never told you he was going to do that. There was nothing about his demeanor or presence that ever said that he was capable of it. So why are you trying? Because he's your most talented player, you want to put that on him, and he's never been that. Ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I expect more from my best players. Yes, the best players on my team, I'd expect more from them.
Okay,
but
then you're disappointed with the Kevin Durant's and the Allen Iversons and the Carmelo Anthony's of the world, man.
I'm more disappointed.
All of those things.
I'm more disappointed.
James Harden's.
I'm more disappointed that Kevin Durant has kind of put himself in that category when that wasn't the situation for him. I wouldn't have put him in that category before. But now he's just become aloof, and it's like, dude, come on, man. So yeah, that's the NBA, bro. Let's jump into this week in history, and we're gonna finish our first show with some final comments here. This week in history, Cleveland, August 28th was a march on Washington. Brings all this back home. August 28th was MLK also made the I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. August 29, 1979, Sheridan Broadcasting Company purchased Mutual Black Network, making it the first completely black-owned radio network in the world. That was in 1979. 1992, August 24, the Cleveland Browns suffered their worst preseason loss, 56-3 to the Vikings. Guys smacked around. In 2008, 2008, August 24, Team USA, the Redeem Team, narrowly beat Spain to win the gold medal. 2000, in Beijing, I should say, Beijing Olympics. Do you remember that game? Where your boy, would you say LeBron led them to a championship or led them to a gold medal? Is that what you would say?
That was D Wade.
That was Kobe, wasn't it?
Kenneth.
I think that was Kobe, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. That was the so okay. Let me rewind. So that team had Kobe, LeBron, Tim, and D Wade on the same team. At no point in the Olympics did it ever look like D Wade was not the best player on the court.
What?
Yeah, watch it again, dude. That was like he was coming off of the injury and he was the best player on the court.
He
Oh,
was better than, no, he wasn't better than Kobe that year. And in those Olympics, he wasn't better than Kobe.
okay.
Kobe was a closer in that. Wasn't Kobe was a closer in that team? Kobe was a closer in that team. That 2018. I don't remember D Wade outshining Kobe in that series in those games. Oh, I have to take a different look at it. I don't remember that. In 2000, August 24, 2018, the French Open banned Serena's black cat suit, citing respect for the game. You remember that?
I remember that, but I remember the French being in April or May, so the fact that they didn't do it until August is kind of weird, but okay.
Yeah, August. Yeah. Um, man. So do we do the trade with the Russian arms dealer for the WNBA basketball player? Apparently, Biden hasn't come to that agreement yet, and Brittany Griner still sitting in the Russian jail over there. But never fear, Brittany. Never fear. You got Dennis Rodman on your way, and we know what he did for the peace treaty in South Korea. So he might have to. He might be able to get something done. What you think? What
The,
percentage do you think give Dennis Rodman at getting her out over there?
the peace treaty
Wait,
in
wait. Before
North
you answer,
Korea. No,
what I say something. I
in
did say
North
something.
Korea.
Yeah, I
So
did say
yes,
something. Yeah.
so he has experience going to communist countries and kind of making
So hold
things
on. So
happen
hold on.
for
If
whatever
you if
reason,
you
which is
if
kind of
you hear
weird.
if you hear
And he
Dennis
actually
Rodman,
go to Russia and come out with Brittany Griner on his arm? Yeah, I don't think so.
if you if you hear Dennis Rodman is on your safety team, are you excited? What are you excited about that?
I am not particularly optimistic that Dennis Rodman is on board to fly to Russia and
Oh my goodness!
get me. It does not make me, yeah, feel like
You don't start preparing your stuff for exit.
not just really, no.
Let's see what he was able to do something with. Your girl Kim Jong Il. He was able to get some movement out of them. Let's see what he's able to do in Russia. Let's see. Let's see. I think it's hysterical for him to even get on a plane.
Isn't Tyson going with him? It's a band of just fuck ups, right? Like, what's going on here?
It's
Like, no, this is
Tyson.
serious. She's been in jail for like 180 days. Like, it's got like 9 years holding over her head. You seen Rodman and Mike Tyson to come get me?
What are you guys gonna exactly do over there? Who you guys gonna talk to over there? That's what I want to know. What's the game plan? Like, that's what I want to know. Brittany Griner, important Brittany. Um, but yeah, how would you respond if you find out that Dennis Rodman is on your case? Would you feel confident about that? And we'll see what he's able to do, man. I say he was able to do something with Kim Jong Il. Who knows? He may able to. Is Putin even gonna give him time? Is Putin gonna give him the time of the day? That's what I want to know. Is Putin gonna go, or are they? They might go ice skating together. Putin plays hockey. Putin plays hockey, and he makes sure that nobody defends him, so he can go. He can score 7 goals a game because nobody's defending him, right? And so is Robin going to defend him or what's going to happen? It's going to be funny. Cleveland, can the Padres, even though old boy's suspended for 80 games, can the Padres threaten the Dodgers for the pennant?
The Dodgers, no. The question is, can the Padres make the playoffs when it's about 50-50?
I mean, they'll make the playoffs, right? That's a given.
It's
They'll
about
make the
50-50.
Will that team in the Northwest make the playoffs?
You
Or
know, Cam, they haven't been looking very good against inferior opponents, and that's one of the things that they have to get better at. Their record is very favorable with regards to the winning percentage of their opponents, but to this point in the last couple of weeks, they have not been able to take advantage. Split with the Nationals, worst team in the league, lost 2 out of 3 to the Oakland A's, second worst team in the league. So, good news is they have a lot more bad opponents on the schedule. Bad news is so far they haven't been taking care of business, so we will have to see. Again, on the good side, Julio Rodriguez, one of the 10 to hit 20 home runs, still 20 bases in the history of the game at that age. The number one pitching staff in the league, the number one bullpen in the league, number one defense in the league. So there are ways that they can certainly make the playoffs, but right now, you know how I feel, Cam. I need superstars, that stir the drink, and right now it's just Julio when he's only 21. So
I mean, you had the first baseman at the All Star game.
Ty France was there right now. Right now he's hitting 20 points lower than he was when he made the All Star team. So that's kind of concerning.
Can't continue it, huh? Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. Daniels is interested to know. I mean, do we keep the reservation or what? That's what they.
Oh yeah, keep that. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, are you buying that Dana White negotiated Brady on his way to Vegas? Or are you buying that before he ended up in Tampa Bay? Man,
I'm buying that Dana White knows something about it, but he certainly didn't represent any of the parties that were engaged in this. He didn't represent Gruden. He didn't represent Brady. He didn't represent Mark Davis. So perhaps he was one of the people that kind of, initiated the conversations between all of these people and knew that ultimately Gruden was the one that, nixed the deal. But as far as his sphere of influence within the National Football League to make a deal for the greatest quarterback in the history of the game, yeah, he's not that talented.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. Good point. He probably knowing that he's from Boston, he had some connections to New Brady and to link Brady and at least the owner Davis together. Yeah, I think that's probably about as far as his brokering went. Um, but I mean, that would have been interesting. Brady in Vegas.
Brady and Gronk in Vegas, yeah.
That would have been interesting. I mean, there was some BS talk about Brady was going to come to the Chargers after Phillip Rivers left because the Chargers need star power. Please, that didn't make no sense.
Oh, yeah, and the 49ers, because he's from that area, he always wanted to be a Niner, yeah. That stuff is, cool.
So, Cleveland, you brought it up earlier. Vanessa Bryant she won the lawsuit against LA County and sharing pictures of Kobe Bryant crash site. Let me tell you something. She got $16 million to Vanessa. That was a good amount of money for distribution of photos of the. Reportedly, they're paying her 2.5 for emotional distress, 7.5 for future suffering. The fire department owes $1 million for past suffering and $5 million for future suffering. I find it interesting here, Cleveland, and more power to her for giving She lost a husband, best friend, and a daughter. But Cleveland, in that article, I didn't hear anything about the other 9 people that died in the, well, excuse me, the 7 other people that died in the plane. Did they get any money? Did they get paid? Did they have enough money to sue the LA County? Did they get compensated in that way? Like, with all due respect, Vanessa, your husband is worth billions, okay? Mamba mentality, Mamba brand is worth billions. They already did a deal with Nike to continue the brand. I'm hoping you donate 8 of that 16 million you got from LA County to those families. Because I didn't see in that article, nothing was mentioned about those families. What's your thoughts of that, Cleveland?
Excellent point, Cam. So many times when we speak about the tragedy that happened on the helicopter, we are remiss to even recognize that there was anyone else on the plane but Kobe and Gianna, right? And that's not the only 2 people that were on the plane. There were plenty of other people, and they're all going through their own grief and distress, in their own way. Obviously, Vanessa Bryant, the Kobe Bryant family being the most prominent, um, and with the most resources to pursue this, um, and obviously the most famous with regards to the results of it. So I don't actually know if anyone else was awarded any type of settlement with regards to how this whole thing played out, because none of those other things would get the same type of headline as Vanessa Bryant, right? So I don't want to say like no one else got any money or they didn't get money even remotely commensurate to what Vanessa got, or whether they had the resources um, financially or just with regards to legal representation to pursue it. So I honestly do not know. Um, but you make a very excellent and valid point that there were other people on this helicopter. It's not just him, and they do take a back seat to his mystique and persona, and it's unfortunate for those people.
I mean, if that's the case, obviously they take the backseat clearly, though, without question. I mean, he was the biggest star. I mean, in Los Angeles, some could say in basketball, whatever that case may be. Um, I just hope that I'm just hoping. And I don't know her either way. I don't know Vanessa either way, and if this is what her way of dealing with it is just to sue as many people, get as much money back as possible. That's kudos to her for dealing with this tragedy, however she sees fit. But it's the other families that just in this scenario. It's just like, again, just skim through this article. There's nothing said about the other families, and I'm hoping she's breaking them something off because they're deserving. They're just as deserving. They're, it wasn't only Kobe's pictures that were shared. Like there was other people's pictures shared, right? Just as your appreciate that your husband was the most famous guy to bring attention to the scenario, but now that he's been taken care of, they need to be taking care of them, and hopefully they have done that. And I just don't know about it. I was just kind of pointing that out that I when I read the article, I didn't see anything of it, and I just want to say something out to the rest of the people who was on the airplane, or excuse me, on the helicopter. And it was a tragic event that we went through, and we don't need to continue to belabor the issue. I just want to bring up that point. Currently, your Mariners, Cleveland, this week they're 67-57 as of now, 12 games back, 5-5. Last week they were 5-5 in their last 10. Or you touched on a little earlier. Right now, it's just Julio Francisco Rodriguez doing his work. So he's alone out there. Is this going to turn around? Or are we seeing? Are they coming back to regression to the mean, if you will?
Okay, first off, you remember when they kept referring to Muhammad Ali as Cassius Clay, right? You remember how they got done? All those people that continue to disrespect him and not call him by his name. You continue to not call Julio Rodriguez by his name, man. You're gonna find yourself, you know, reporting at the Mongolian newspaper. I'm saying, yeah, give me head report for Mongolia Daily Report. So first and foremost, secondly, I don't know what to say here, man. They need some more firepower, but at the same
Did they
time,
just sign? Oh, they signed a pitcher at the deadline.
it's San Luis Castillo, and he's been lights out. He had one, average performance. I wouldn't even say it was a bad performance. It's just, those guys were, had nothing to lose. They were swinging away, and they touch a couple pitches. I still think that this team is going to make the playoffs, so they'll be perfectly fine. And there's no point in looking for some other out of bounds type of help to get the Mariners across the threshold. I'm not even gonna name any other names because you would never heard of them. You're not enough of a baseball dude for you even to make sense. So I will simply say this, man: they have enough to get through, and they just, I'm just crossing my fingers that they, do what they're supposed to do, man.
Crossing their fingers. Yeah, you better cross your fingers, because boy, I tell you what, after this, all this will hubbub this season. If your team doesn't make the playoffs this season, again, I might be up there and signing a petition. Instead of signing a petition to kick him out of Seattle, I'm signing a petition in Portland to bring him to PO. They can pay it.
Are you gonna come in your cool little dolphin coat with the Tua teal you got on right there? That's kind of fresh, man. I like that.
He called it Tua teal. That's a good one. That's a good. Hey, fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the show. Cleveland, I want to thank you for your participation, man, all these years in the show. I want to leave you guys with this quote. This quote is from the Great One. If you guys know what the Great One is, the Great One says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." The Great One, Wayne Gretzky, says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." So, fans, if there's something you guys want to do in life, there's a shot you want to take it, man. You're gonna miss it anyway. If you don't, you won't make it if you don't take it. That's the one thing. So if you can't make the shot if you don't take it. You can't win the game if you're not in the game. So you got to get in the game, take a shot, do what you do, live your life, have fun, and don't live it by anybody else's rules. Do what you want to do, and that's what that quote tells me. You miss 100 shots if you don't take. Take your shots at anything in life, Cleveland. Take your shot, big guy. You got fantasy football coming up in a couple of weeks. You take a shot. I'm open. Take your shot. You guys won't win. I'm dominating all fantasy football leagues I'm in this season. That's truth be told. We got our draft coming up on September 4. I'm gonna set it up. Tonight. So our draft is gonna be set up for September 4. So you got about a week and a half to prepare, Cleveland. A week and a half to prepare. I hope you're going to be ready, because I'm not taking any excuses this season.
Yeah, I hope I get the number 3 pick and see if Aaron Jones is still available.
Fans, inside jokes, fans. Thank you guys for tuning in, Cleveland. We'll see you soon, Chief.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Later.